So the art of mindfulness is performed in different modalities. You can use meditation for it. You can do body scans. In Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, he introduces the practice of entering the inner body, which is a beautiful practice that awakens the presence of God, that love that we talked about and sang about. So that's what mindfulness is really about in the spiritual tradition, is awakening that love and awakening your true nature. However, in healthcare, it's been used in other ways to help with chronic diseases, to help with managing pain, symptom management, with eating practices to treat obesity, and to improve your resilience, your mental resilience. There's all sorts of different things, and you can do some research on that if you want. But for this talk, I want to just reinforce our direct experience with the practice of mindfulness, meditation, and how we're experiencing that in our everyday life. I know for me, when I had my spiritual experiences 18 years ago, I had this great joy and this peace and this love emerging in me, and it was beautiful. But I also got confused, and I felt a little bit alone at times, and so I needed support. And one of the people that I went out to reach for support introduced me to meditation, and then introduced me to Eckhart Tolle and the practice of entering the body. And that practice of going deep within the body was very influential for me in my experience of the peace of God. So I was able to just go deep within my body and ground myself in the present moment. I was able to scan some of the resistance I had to the present moment. I was able to notice how my thoughts got in the way of me surrendering. They were distracting. There was this conflict going on in my mind, these judgments, this preoccupation with the future, and how at some moment in the future I was going to be enlightened. That's the distraction. There was almost an addiction to that, the seeking, because that spiritual experience I had was very profound and transforming, but there was this thing to want to have more of it. There was this momentum to try to seeking it out more, and that actually prevented me from being in the moment. So by entering the body, I became mindful of these things, became aware, and my awareness evolved. And so now I practice that today. This last week, I've been on vacation, so I've been spending some time in mindfulness, meditation. I went to a meditation meeting on Tuesday, and I went deep within the body, and I felt that inner life that Eckhart Tolle talks about inside, the bridge between the manifested and the unmanifested. You could say the chi, in the Course in Miracles terms, the holy instant. That feeling of just peace, great peace. And that's what I think everyone is in some way, in some form, all the, how many billion people there are now, 8 billion people are seeking that out in some form. This peace, the peace of God. And it doesn't matter really how you're seeking it out. What matters is what you're doing. Is it working? Is my practice of mindfulness working? So it can always be adjusted. I know that I've adjusted mine at times. I feel like that inner body practice kind of got boring for me in seasons throughout the years. So I went into prayer. I've went into some different readings. I've done some chanting. I've done dance. I've done all sorts of different things to awaken that peace. So I think it's really important that we're mindful of what that voice is for us, how it's showing up in our life, that peace. What is it saying to us? And it may not be speaking in a language. It's more of an inspiration, a feeling, or a resonance, a vibration. And you need to be mindful to even hear that, though. So the first thing is that you really need to be aware of that the practice of mindfulness and how it awakens that voice. And once you are aware that you have this voice, which I think everyone here knows about that. It's an innate response now to your prayers and when you go within, it shows up. And so what is it saying to me? On an individual level, what is it saying to me? And also, what is it saying for me to serve? How am I going to serve here in this world during this pandemic? What am I being called to do right now? Because that's changing as well. Am I being called to the platform of more social media, more videos online? Am I being called to, give out, gestures, to people from a distance, and smile at them and send them out love and light from afar? Am I being called to just be more with my family? Maybe it's a season to spend more time with my family and serve them. And maybe I don't really feel totally comfortable right now going out and socializing with people. So it's whatever that Spirit's telling you, and it's not going to come to you in a forceful way. Like you have to do this. That's not what that voice is saying. If you're really mindful, you can tell it's not something that you need to do to be a better spiritual person, because that's not true. The voice of God, at least in my experience, is very gentle but yet powerful. There's a deep stillness in it and a resonance that it connects with the soul, the spirits in my brothers and sisters. So when I look at them, I don't really have any reaction emotionally to a past situation that I had with any of my brothers and sisters when I'm identified with the Christ. So when I see anyone, I see them as they are now. And I'm mindful of them. I might be mindful of where they're at in the moment, not in a judgmental way. So I may be sensitive to saying certain things. Maybe they're really struggling through something right now, and I'm mindful of that. And I'm aware and I'm present. I'm in the art of listening, fully there with them. It's a beautiful thing. I practice it with my 1-year-old son all the time. Fully present with him, playing blocks, whatever, and sitting with him while he's running around. And I can tell when the monkey mind shows up. And I'm aware of that. And I think that the more we do mindfulness, the more we're going to be aware of all sorts of stuff in our minds. Okay? This practice makes it so that it's very difficult to go unconscious to some of the undoing we're going through. We may not feel the peace of God fully, like flowing through us, but we're aware of the blocks in the way of it, for sure. I did a test the other day on mindfulness, and I scored pretty high on it. However, I could tell I answered kind of in a lower range with some of the questions on it, of being stressed out, of being preoccupied with things. I answered yes to that in some categories, but I was aware of it. I guess what they were looking for is this lack of awareness of what's really going on in your mind, okay? And a lot of consciousness lacks that awareness. A lot of our shared consciousness, a lot of humanity, you could say, lacks the awareness of what's really going on in them. They're asleep to the alternative that there could be another way. And all of us now, we can't remain asleep anymore. The light is there, and it's waking us up, and it's ultimately taking us home, taking us to be with God. And that's happening here now. That's when it's happening. It's not happening in the future. I'm using a language that almost makes it sound like it's some future moment, but it's not. But there's no real way to talk about it without putting it in some sort of time space sequence. That's what language does. So that's what can also be a bit confusing, is you're trying to look for the words. And Eckhart Tolle talks about looking beyond the words. When someone's talking to you and sharing their good or bad experiences, you look beyond the words to the Christ in them. What's really going on? Who are they? God, show me who they really are. I want to see them as you created them. And this is a practice in mindfulness we can do when we see someone. We can just look beyond what they're speaking about. Look for their gestures, their nonverbals, the environment they're in. Okay, and then say a practice. I want to come to know you as God sees you. I want to feel the light that connects us all together in this moment. and do it with sincerity and be fully there with them. That's the practice that you can bring to every moment, every encounter. In the book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle talks about a bunch of benefits to being in the inner body, being mindful, being aware of what's really going on. And I actually forgot about him talking about these things. It's pretty cool. One of them was slowing down the aging process. You can read that if you want. I'm not going to get into that one. Yeah. But the other one I'm going to talk about is strengthening the immune system. So there's another benefit of the practice of entering the inner body in the physical realm is a great strengthening of the immune system, which occurs when you inhabit the body. The more consciousness you bring into the body, the stronger the immune system becomes. It is as if every cell awakens and rejoices. The body loves your attention. It is also a potent form of self-healing. Most illnesses creep in when you are not present in the body. If the master is not present in the house, all kinds of shady characters will take up residence there. When you inhabit your body, you will be hard for unwanted guests to enter. It is not only your physical immune system that becomes strengthened, your psychic immune system is greatly enhanced as well. The latter protects you from the negative mental, emotional force fields of others, which are highly contagious. Inhabiting the body protects you not by putting up a shield, but by raising the frequency vibration of your total energy field so that anything that vibrates at a lower frequency, such as fear, anger, depression, and so on, now exists in what is virtually a different order of reality for you. Yeah. So that's about that awareness, is that if we don't have that awareness, those characters, those shady characters will take up home in our body. So we need to be fully mindful of what's going on. These programs show up in the morning, these monotonous programs that we take on each and every day, telling us things. And before long, if we listen to them, we might find ourselves asleep in fear. So we really need to wake up. You don't need to. I guess I'm using that because it's a strong word. If we want to, I guess. Because if we want to suffer, we can too. I mean, that's a choice we get to make. Mindfulness practices are a choice. When the healing actually occurs in our mind, that's up to spirit. We can't force the healing. So the programs that take occupants in our mind, the mental programs that are negative, that create suffering and conflict, will continue in our life and repeat themselves over and over and over again until we become aware of them and see them for what they are and ask for them to be undone in some form. So this is the great learning. And being in relationships, with our significant other, children, great vehicles for undoing those patterns. Because a lot of the time when we see those person that significant other, that special relationship, it triggers that for us. And so we get an opportunity to stop the program. Is that we might immediately, when maybe we see our father or our mother, there might be a reaction, like immediately, or when we think of them. And it may not really elicit any great suffering or conflict, but maybe a judgment. And so we need to be mindful of that. We want to be mindful of that so we can heal that and we can establish that flow, that peace with them. We can see them as God created them instead of our image of what we want to see in them, which is usually negative. We want to validate our own negativity by seeing it in others. We reinforce it in ourselves by projecting it on other people. That's how we maintain it. And that's how we maintain guilt in relationships. If we feel guilty, we have self-abusive thoughts of attack on ourselves, then we'll see those in others and we'll be really hard on them. They need to be doing better. They need to be doing more. They need to be practicing more spirituality, more health practices, all that stuff. It's all coming from the monkey mind, the mind that's asleep, that's unaware, that's not in the body. You're not going to suffer if you're in the body, even if you have some chronic or acute illness and you go deep within the body. I've done this with all sorts of things. There may be pain. There may be some things you need to do to take care of the body, but the psychological suffering is not going to be there. You surrender to it. and you feel the presence inside you. And that's what is really guiding you. It's your whole life is guidance. It's all purpose driven. And there's nothing, another thing the ego, a rebuttal that the ego may have with this is that at some point it's going to be stopped. Okay. Some people aren't going to like it. You're going to be restricted. You're going to meet people that aren't going to agree with you. Maybe you're going to lose awareness of God somehow. I mean, the ego comes up with all sorts of things. But what I've realized through my experience that's accompanied by that peace is there's this knowing, this certainty inside, this trust, you could call it faith, that all is well, and that, you know, the scripture of God, I will never leave you nor forsake you. There's this knowing in that. I feel that truth. And so that's not something you can really talk about in words or explain. It just shows up the more you embrace the peace of God, this deep knowing and certainty that God's always with you. So, yeah, I think that's a good time to stop. I thank you guys all for the beautiful service, and I'm really glad to be here and to share the joy and love and peace of God with you. Thank you.